Hello, Maryland Attorney Joe with Bowers here, coming to you on AskYourCecilLawyer.com to discuss this week's article in the Cecil Guardian newspaper. This is a pretty important, very timely question that was asked this week that we responded to, and that had to do with getting a tax return and how to handle large debts that might be out there. The specific question had to do with some back credit card debt, and whether or not, because at the prompting of the credit card company, who obviously wants to get as much money as they possibly can, whether or not paying down a large sum is a good idea, or whether that tax return can be used otherwise. Now, because of the timing, with it being tax time right now, we've chosen to not only answer the question in the Cecil Guardian, which you can see that response there, but also do this video response because some people will have access to this on their phone a little bit more easily than there. It's a really important question because everybody's situation is different, but a lot of times decisions that you may down the road think that you should have handled them differently. Now, depending on how big that credit card debt is and how much your tax return is, you may be in a situation where negotiating the outstanding balance might be a good option for you. A lot of times you can get these things knocked down 40, maybe even as much as 50% of what the balance is if you were going to make a lump sum payment. Now keep in mind a few things. Number one, that's going to turn into what's called a charge-off on your credit report. It's negative, it stays there for about 7 years. It's not the end of the world, but it's certainly not positive. It's a whole lot better than if you are late, 30 days, 90 days, any other number of times that you're repeatedly late on that card. Also, any money that you do save, let's say that the credit card debt's $10,000 and they knock it down to a lump sum payment of $6,000. The next year you're going to get 1099 from that credit card company showing $4,000 of what is income for this tax year, because they're going to see the write-off that they made as income for you. One of the other options that a lot of people explore, especially if the credit card debt is as high as $10,000, and that's whether that's on one card, multiple cards, or if they have other debt, outstanding medical bills, if there are any sort of bank levies, wage garnishments, old back taxes that are still owed due, utility payments, any of these other kind of outstanding balances that might be out there, whether they're credit cards or store cards or any other sort of installment loans. Or a big situation that I see is if somebody's had a car repossessed. Now that loan is still out there against them even though they don't have the vehicle. One option that we do explore and handle a lot of for our clients is Chapter 7 bankruptcy. Not only is there Chapter 7, but there's also Chapter 13, depending on somebody's working situation, and if they make enough money that the bankruptcy trustee or that the federal government would think that you might be able to repay some or all of the outstanding debt over a period of time. Now, whether it be a Chapter 7 bankruptcy, which is a complete discharge, sometimes if somebody has substantial assets, they may be sold and liquidated to satisfy that. But for most people who file Chapter 7, it's just a clean wipe it out and start over. It has some negative credit implications, but certainly not as bad as a lot of credit card companies would want you to think. Of course, they want you to think that. They'd rather you pay them than file for bankruptcy and discharge the debt. On a Chapter 13, if somebody makes enough money that they can put their debts into a repayment plan, usually those repayment plans are very affordable. They're not an interest-bearing plan. They do not necessarily pay off all of the debt, but at the end of a Chapter 13, all of the outstanding debts not paid by the payment plan are discharged. So these are pretty complicated. There's a lot of different things going on. So it's important, if you have a question, if you think that you might be a candidate to file for bankruptcy protection, give our office a call at 410-885-6200. That's 410-885-6200. Happy to sit down and speak to you confidentially with no obligation. So if we go and we say, hey, this might be a good situation for you, and you decide for whatever reason that you want to stick it out, fantastic. There's no obligation. or if you may not be a great candidate for it. Negotiating the debt or some other sort of consolidation might be a better option for you. And absolutely, we're going to steer you in a direction that's best for you long term. We're not going to come in and if you've got $3,000 worth of debt, tell you to spend $1,500 filing bankruptcy when there are certainly better options for you. So if you're in a situation where you even think that you might be a candidate, give us a call. We'll get you in for a free consultation. Again, no obligation. 410-885-6200. And keep the questions coming at askyourcecillawyer.com. Look for the responses here on the web or in the Cecil Guardian every Thursday. Again, you can ask those questions at askyourcecillawyer.com. In the comments section, you're going to see the link as well. This is Joe with Bowers. Thank you.